The appeal of Seven Snipers, the new Australian action film from director Sandra Cyberas, is apparent in the basic setup. An ex-military sniper calls in some of her old sharpshooter colleagues for help when an old enemy, himself a legendarily deadly sniper, resurfaces. Anyone who likes this kind of thing will be intrigued by the image this conjures in their head. It's a form of combat that's easy to mythologize. The lone, skilled gunman, calm, hidden from view, precise in the most chaotic of situations. Everything's fine until someone's suddenly dead from a bullet they didn't know was coming. Think about it just a little harder, though, or don't, and wait for the moment in the movie when all the other snipers arrive, and it looks ridiculous. If the word lone didn't tip you off, what I've described isn't exactly a group activity. There's a lot of holing up in a secure spot and patiently waiting for the shot. Enemies are, by design, kept so far apart they can hardly see each other. However interesting it sounds on paper, this premise isn't the most naturally cinematic. Cyberas' challenge is to make it so. Only sometimes does she succeed. Seven Snipers would have been well served by leaning into the action movie silliness, but its tone asks that it mostly be taken seriously, and the film simply doesn't do enough to justify that. The screenplay has to contort itself to give its characters an excuse to cross paths, and its relationships are not nearly well calibrated enough to get us to actually care about these characters. Though there are moments that wring real tension out of the sniper conceit, the ending especially, they only serve to demonstrate how much more effective it is when limited to a couple, show-stopping scenes, instead of being asked to carry an entire feature. Some fatal mistakes keep Seven Snipers from reaching its full potential. The film begins simply and effectively. Chris, Radha Mitchell, lives on a farm with her teenage daughter Anya, Annabelle Wolfe, who is just a day away from turning 16 and in open rebellion. Aside from Anya's tendency to run off with her boyfriend Michael, Lee Tiger Halley, their life seems quiet. So, when a car approaches the farmhouse, Chris is immediately suspicious. After a tense standoff with a man who claims to be in real estate, her worst fears are confirmed. After many years in hiding, not even certain she was still being hunted, the dragon, Tim Roth, has finally found her. We don't know why this brutal warlord and expert marksman is after her, but it's clear he's extremely dangerous. Almost preposterously so, some of those who respond to Chris' call for aid don't even believe the dragon could possibly be alive, let alone surfacing in Australian farmland. Their attitudes change when the bodies start dropping. Despite needing the help to keep Anya safe, Chris knows this will ultimately come down to her, and whether she's able to face her past in time to save their lives. There are moments that make Seven Snipers worth the short time it asks for. Mitchell's performance is by far the most engaging of the cast. She's totally believable as a steely badass, and finds just the right amount of grizzled weariness to anchor the story. She makes Chris haunted in a way that's involving. What exactly happened between her and the dragon is just about the only question I was eager to see answered. It's primarily thanks to her that Seven Snipers has any emotional stakes at all. The supporting cast are far more inconsistent. The film would have been far better than it is had Anya been believable, either as written or as performed. As it stands, she is mostly a vehicle for plot contrivances with an emotional life that makes little sense. The other snipers are barely explored, though have opportunities to shine through in moments. Ioan Griffith, who plays Milk, could have done with a more substantial part. Bianca Wallace and Pacharo Mzembe bring a nice intensity to their scenes. The dragon is a more significant issue. Seven Snipers is quite transparent about deploying screenwriting tropes to build up its villain. Other characters talk about him as if he's the angel of death, and he gets an introduction scene that inverts the save the cat dynamic in a way that I'm sure sounded cool on paper. His skill with a rifle backs up that treatment. Roth's performance does not. He plays the dragon as relaxed, clearly trying to make him scarier by having his demeanor clash with his reputation and behavior, but he swung too far in that direction. He sleepwalks through this film, and any chance for true tension goes with him. For anyone just looking for some solid sniper action, there are moments that make Seven Snipers worth the short time it asks for. Cyberas' direction sells the oppressive threat of a deadly gunman you can't manage to locate, and the team's attempts at getting the upper hand on their superior opponent carry some weight. The ending introduces perhaps the film's most cinematic idea for how to approach sniping on screen, and I won't deny I found myself pulled back in to an extent I wasn't expecting. But for the overall experience, it was too little, too late.